Well, hello. Greetings again from the North Pole. It's Santa here. On an earlier video where I read Dasher, where's the story? Where's the story? I don't know. Oh, there it is. The book Dasher. I also introduced the new stories that Santa's received for this coming season of broadcasts. You can follow Santa on my YouTube channel, Santa Jeff Claus, and I do weekly broadcasts where we do all kinds of fun things in the broadcast. We tell stories. You can see some of Santa's items like his giant boots or his walking stick, his magic key, and sometimes I have time to read a little bit of a story. But this video is part of my Santa Reads series, where I take one book and I read it, and you can follow along and enjoy Santa reading the story. In the Dasher broadcast, I introduced some of the new books that I'll be reading parts of, either here or in my regular broadcast, and that included, no, the Polar Express. We'll do that another time. Here, let me grab them real quickly. One was called Dasher, and I just read that story. It's on another video. A Boy Called Christmas, a boy whose name was actually Christmas. Wonderful adventure story. A famous old story called The Best Christmas Pageant Ever, about a family of children who get up to mischief in the Christmas pageant. Laura Ingalls Wilder, you may remember, had a wonderful TV series, Little House on the Prairie, do you remember? And all of those wonderful books. She wrote a Christmas story as well. And so we'll be reading that as well during one of my regular broadcasts. And then there's The Girl Who Saved Christmas, another wonderful story by Matt Haig. But right now I'm going to read a story called The Reindeer Wish. The Reindeer Wish is the sequel to a wonderful story called The Christmas Wish. A little girl named Anya lives with her folks, and her only wish was to go and meet Santa Claus, me. And she did, and she's a wonderful girl. I've spoken about Anya several times in other broadcasts, but today we're going to read the author Lori Everett, the sequel to The Christmas Wish. This is called The Reindeer Wish. Are you ready? You can go back into my other videos on Santa Jeff Claus. Parents, on YouTube, Santa Jeff Claus. And you can find all of my other broadcasts throughout the last several years. And you can find all of the stories that I've read. The Santa Reads series. You may want to get some of these stories for your children as well. Amazon has all of them, and your local bookstore. Here's a picture, can you see that? Of Anya hauling a Christmas tree through the frozen land that she lives in. The Reindeer Wish. Be brave, be kind, believe. Long, long ago, far to the north, and high in the snowy mountains, just like these outside my window, where you could ski for days and never see another soul, lived a kind little girl named Anya. Sometimes I pronounce her Anja too. They're both beautiful. Anya had many friends at school, but when school was out, she sometimes got lonely. She would have liked to have had a brother or a sister, but mostly she wished for a puppy. Every week she wrote a letter to Santa, put it in the post office box, and hoped for the best. See, there she is. There she is, putting it in the post office box, the mailbox. Here she is, skiing down the hill. Living in this area, she was a wonderful skier. Oh, one Christmas Eve, while her parents were busy getting ready for the holiday, Anya took a little trip to the one hill that she was allowed to ski on alone. She climbed up that hill and she flew back down, over and over again until the day's light began to fade, and she became quite cold and tired. Wonderful skier. Can you see? Here are her skis, and there's Anya, tucked underneath the roots of a tree. What is she doing there? Anya decided to rest until her mother came to take her home. She had learned that animals keep warm by burying themselves in snow. So Anya set up her skis, burrowed down into a little hole under the tree, and she drifted off to sleep. When Anya awoke, she saw a cardinal, a rare sight so far up north where she lived. She wondered if this was the cardinal who had helped her meet Santa Claus the Christmas before. I told you about that story, didn't I? The Christmas wish. Then the cardinal spoke, and she knew that it was the same cardinal. Over here, do you see the cardinal? A red bird. Brilliant. Look how deep the snow is. Amazingly deep. The bird said, "Anya, I need your help. Hurry, there's a baby reindeer alone under a tree near your house. Can you get your sled and help me save it?" Anya skied home, grabbed her sled, and followed the cardinal to the baby. As she followed him, Anya worried about taking the little reindeer. She had been told never to touch a wild baby. The cardinal told her that the mother reindeer could not come back. "He will starve if we leave him," the cardinal said. "Please, you must take him home and take care of him." Anya looked at the baby reindeer. What a beautiful little baby, she thought. She gently picked him up, and he nuzzled into her neck. "I hope I can keep him," she told the cardinal. The bird assured Anya that her parents would not turn the reindeer away. Can you see? There's the baby. And she's right. You usually never take a baby animal because the mother usually will come back and take care of that baby animal. The cardinal was right. Anya's parents told her that she would be very good at being a mama to the baby reindeer, and that the baby could sleep in the little hay shed. After a great deal of thought, she named him Odin, after her grandfather, named Odin. Anya spent every free moment with her young baby friend. She fed Odin with a baby bottle, sang to him, and played her fiddle for him. He grew stronger every day. Can you see there she is taking care of? And there she is playing her fiddle. Fiddle is another word for what? Violin. You're right. Winter flew by as Anya and Odin played and raced and looked for signs of springtime. As the lake thawed, they loved to watch the swans and laughed as the usually graceful birds dove under the water for food, bottoms up and feet flapping in the air. As Odin grew, so did his antlers. He could not guess how Anya always found him when they played hide and seek. They spent the spring and summer exploring the countryside together. Often they were stopping to chat and find a snack. What do you notice about that house? Do you see it? There's grass on the roof. In that part of the world, that's how their houses are. Anya's grandfather had told her that the best place to practice her fiddle would be alongside the music of a waterfall. So every morning, Odin followed Anya to the rushing, splashing waterfall, where she played the beautiful tunes for him. The squirrels and the birds gathered around, you see? And there she is, playing and practicing her fiddle. Odin was a wonderful fishing partner. They roamed far into the mountains, searching for trout and taking a dip if the day got too warm. See, there's the trout, and there they are having a good time together, becoming the very best of friends, high in the mountains. One day while Anya was fishing, Odin wandered away, following a delicious trail of reindeer moss, reindeer's favorite food. She searched and called for him, and she became very worried. Had he decided to leave after he'd grown up so big? Finally, she ran back to her house, and she found the wooden horn that her parents used to call her home. Anya blew the horn with all of her might. It worked. Odin came trotting back as soon as he heard the sound. Do you see? There she is blowing the horn. It's kind of like a trumpet, I would imagine, huh? But made out of wood. Look. It's Anya's classroom. Does your classroom look like that? No, you probably have more children in your classroom, but did you see in the doorway? Who's there? Odin. Autumn came quickly. Odin didn't understand that he wasn't invited into the schoolhouse, and he gave the teacher a fright the first day when he decided to join Anya's class. The children giggled and laughed long after Anya took Odin outside and asked him to wait for her. Her parents laughed too when she told them the story later on. It's a wonderful classroom, isn't it? Autumn is a very short season. In the mountains, it seems that as soon as your bare feet begin to feel a chill, the first snowflakes appear. Anya realized that Odin was as smart as he was strong, so she began to teach him to pull a sleigh. She started with her little sled, having him pull small loads of dolls and toys, and sometimes she pretended that she was Santa Claus herself. See, there she is. Do you know what she's training Odin to do? One day as Christmas drew near, Anya borrowed her father's horse sleigh. She and Odin were going to bring home the loveliest Christmas tree Santa had ever seen. Do you get a Christmas tree? Do you go out into the forest and chop one down? Do you go to a neighborhood store and buy one there? Do you go to a different kind of a Christmas tree lot? Look, she's decorating Odin with ornaments. They decorated the tree together. What fun they had. Anya could not resist putting a few ornaments on Odin's antlers. He stood perfectly still, and she tried not to laugh. He looked so festive and silly. And though we see Anya and Odin, don't forget, there's the Christmas tree in the background. Lovely, lovely. She's standing on her sled. Did you notice Santa's sled in the background here? Do you see it? It's behind my head over here. The next day was colder, a perfect day to go ice skating. Odin was an attentive audience. He watched as Anya gave one grand performance after another. Do you see? And she knows carefully not to skate on thin ice. Do any of you watch that? I think there was a movie called Blizzard, where the little girl competes and she talks to Blizzard, her friend that comes to visit her. And they end up having to rescue a friend from the ice that she broke through on a lake. Wow. You can't really tell, but there's Anya and there's Odin. And in the fuzziness of the snow, there's a huge herd of reindeer. After Anya had finished skating, as she and Odin happily made their way home, they suddenly heard a rumble from afar. They looked up and they saw a reindeer herd running along the ridge next to them. Anya turned to tell Odin that it was the most beautiful sight she had ever seen. But she stopped short when she saw a tear in Odin's eye. Anya wondered then if Odin missed living with other reindeer. Would you be happier if you could run with that herd? They walked slowly now, each lost in their own thoughts. As Anya hugged Odin goodnight, she continued to think about the reindeer herd. It would break her heart to lose her best friend, but she wanted him to be happy. She had never felt so confused before. That night, Anya couldn't sleep until she remembered the bell that Santa had given her the night before. I gave her a magic bell the night before that she came to visit Santa. The year before when she came to visit Santa. And I had told her, if you ever need Santa, ring the bell 3 times. Let's see what the author says. Santa had given her a bell. He had said, if you ever need help, ring this bell, there it is, 3 times. She takes Santa's offer very seriously. She never used the bell. She'd never rung the bell before. When she woke up the next morning, she went outside, and she did. She rang the bell. I heard it. On the 3rd ring, the cardinal appeared. Santa has a place for Odin with his herd of magic reindeer. If you wish, I can guide you and Odin to his home at the North Pole. They agreed to leave at once. It was a long journey through snowy white forests and over windy mountain passes. Anya rode on Odin's warm back, and the cardinal sang songs and told them cheerful, funny stories about life at the North Pole. There she is, sad. There she is hugging Odin. It's simply not easy saying goodbye to a friend, is it? Can you tell? There they are traveling. Anya's on Odin's back, and they're following a trail of lights. Where are they going? Yes. As evening fell, their path was lit up by magical shimmering ice globes. Early the next morning, they entered a snowy forest and could see a red house surrounded by reindeer. They passed a grove of trees, and there was Santa Claus, arms open in greeting. And that's how I like to greet visitors to the North Pole and to those that come to see Santa, with big, wide open arms, just like this Santa in the picture. He hugged them both and said, "Welcome, thank you. Thank you for your wonderful gift, Anya. I am proud of how well you have cared for and trained Odin. I know you will miss each other, but I promise that he will be very happy here and that you will see him every year when he comes to visit. I have a gift for you in return." Santa Claus presented a bag with 3 adorable squirming puppies. And he asked Anya to choose one for herself. Anya picked up the puppy who had reached for her hand, and she was just about to thank Santa when the puppy licked her face, making her laugh out loud. She really, at the beginning of the story, if you remember, had only wished for Puppy. And yet she found Odin. The next thing she knew, Anya was in her own bed. Do you see? She's in her own bed. She was laughing, and the puppy was in her arms. How did I get home, she wondered. Could it all have been a dream? But if it was a dream, how did the puppy get here? What do you think? Did Anya go on that adventure and raise Odin and take Odin to become one of the reindeer? And Santa gave her a puppy as a present? What do you think? I'll return another time to read more stories. Starting, I think today or tomorrow, I'll be posting a brand new video. A new session of Santa's stories. These are Santa reads stories, but the other stories I talk about share stories that I've experienced as I've traveled the world. I also share things that I use when I'm Santa Claus. My bell, my magic key, my big scepter or walking stick, my boots, all kinds of things that I use. And so until we meet again, or you look on Santa Jeff Claus on YouTube, looking at some of the past episodes, in the next day or two, look for the newest video where Santa starts out our 4th year, episode 1. I'll see you later for now. Be good. Bye-bye.